Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and back to a new format, I guess. I don't think I've actually played any, Alchemy, specifically like Standard Alchemy on the channel before, so we're going to do that today. We're going to be playing around with a combo in this format. It's also outside of this format. I think you can build it for Standard. Maybe it's better. I don't know. But we're going to be playing the Ill-Tempered Loner combo. So it's built around Ill-Tempered Loner, a 4-mana 3/3. Whenever Ill-Tempered Loner is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target. So it's kind of like the Brash Taunter combo sort of thing. The idea is we're going to have Ill-Tempered Loner take damage and deal damage to itself. Now, it can only do that a finite amount of times unless it's got indestructible. And that's why we get Angel Fire Ignition in play, or we get the Ollenbock Escort in play as well. Both of these give lifelink and indestructible, which is kind of important, which means when Ill-Tempered Loner deals damage to itself, it doesn't die, but also it has lifelink, so the damage it's dealing to itself is gaining as life. So it's an infinite life combo in that regard, and eventually we can point that damage somewhere else as well. So we're going to try and gain infinite life if we can, and do it in a mid-rangey style. So the actual combo pieces are Loner, Ignition, and Ollenbock, and a little bit of Homestead Courage. The rest of the deck is kind of the mid-rangey style. We've got Rahilda Wanted Cutthroat in here, a really powerful 2-drop card. It is a must-answer threat, which is kind of annoying as formats go, but pretty good in our deck. First strike, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you exile a non-land card from their library at random. During any turn you attacked with a wolf or werewolf, you may cast that card, and you may spend mana as though it was mana of any colour to cast that spell. So Rahilda is a werewolf, Brutal Cathar is a werewolf, and Ill-Tempered Loner is also a werewolf, so all of those will allow us to play Rahilda cards, and eventually you can flip it over to Double Strike, and then it deals combat damage to a player. The fact that it's got Double Strike means you get those 2 triggers. We've also got Sacred Fire as a little bit of removal, and you can also use that to trigger Ill-Tempered Loner, because you have to find a way to have the Loner take damage, so damage-based burn spells or blocking from our opponent is the best way to do that. We've got 4 Shatterskull Smashing as well to try and enable that. Brutal Cathar, as we've mentioned, is kind of, our Banishing Light for the format. It's really nice with Rahilda. And eventually, if you can get it over to the Moonrage Brute, then it has Ward Pay 3. So that's going to reduce our opponent's life total a little bit. And if it goes back to being the Brutal Cathar, then it gets another card under it. It's quite a powerful card. It's not one I use very often, but get to play around with it today. We've also got pretty much the same thing. Skyclave Apparition, except for this one exiles the card permanently, and if it leaves the battlefield, then our opponent gets an illusion equal to the mana value of the card that we exiled, rather than just straight up giving our opponent the card back. We've also got Redain, God of the Worthy, as a bit of a control annoyance. It's going to turn all of our opponent's Wrath of Gods into more expensive Wrath of Gods. That's the hope, at least. Showdown of the Scalds allows us to put counters on cards and search for our combo pieces. Remember, Ollenbock Escort has to have a creature to target that has a counter on it in order to do the ability, so we do have to get Ill-Tempered Loner to have a +1/+1 counter on it in order to use the Escort, which is why we've got the Homestead Courage, and why Chapter 2 and 3 on Showdown of the Scalds are so useful. But yeah, it's otherwise just a pretty nice mid-rangey deck. It's hopefully going to try and win occasionally without the Loner combo. We do have Forsaken Crossroads in there. I think if you're a 2-color or more deck, you should be running this card, as long as you're not extremely aggressive. If you really need that turn 1/1-drop, then maybe not. So if you're Boros aggro with loads of 1-drops, maybe give this one a pass, but otherwise, I'm pretty sure you should always have 4 of those in your Alchemy decks, and that's why we do. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you do, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and without further ado, let's continue. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty, on the draw, so our Crossroads is an untapped land. We've got Escort into Sacred Fire. eventually get the Angel Fire Ignition as well, so we've got exactly what we need here to win the game, assuming this is a nice matchup. Please don't be Control. I think Control is going to be a nightmare matchup for us. Glasspool Shore. So maybe it's the Captain Coco kind of list. I'm just going to go with Ollenbach Escort here. Ollenbach. Gives me at least an aggressive start. I need a good reason to use this Sacred Fire, so there's a good reason to use it. So we could do Forsaken Crossroads on red and untap it, so that we can then pick at the Veteran. Swing for one. The Veteran's not actually that important, so maybe I just, like, don't deal 1 damage and then hold the Sacred Fire for something more interesting. But it wouldn't hit a Righteous Valkyrie, so that's fine. You have a flashback of 4, which means I can use it on the Escort, making it a 3/3 life-linking indestructible with haste, and then play Loner on 4, and then on 5 flashback the Ignition. That seems fine. It's kind of like free life gain, essentially. So, obviously, they block. No reason not to. Tapped out here. Not sure if this combo is well known enough for our opponent to know exactly what we're doing right now, but if you see the Escort and you see the Ignition, it's pretty much, I think, a red flag. Alright, so let's see what the Inquisitor Captain can do. Seeks 2 cards. One of them is a Righteous Valkyrie. Okay. The life total doesn't really matter to us as long as they don't go above 27 and kill us. So just don't do that. I'm going to go Ill-Tempered Loner here. And pass. And then we just need a way of getting the Loner ignited and taking damage, I guess. If they do attack me... No, because I don't have a counter on the Loner. I was going to say, if they attack me, then I can block, and then that starts the loop going, but he doesn't have a counter on him, so the Ollenbach Escort can't attach it to him. But on the next turn, certainly can. But they've also got 12 points in the air, so... Oh, God. 16 points in the air. I guess we're dead. Ooh-wee, Rick. Well, I guess that's just me blocking like this, isn't it? There we go. Oh, where could it go? Doesn't really matter. Untap red. Ignition. Swing. See if they block. If they block, they lose. Oops. Deals that much damage to any target. I'm going to deal this much to this target. This much to this target. This much to this target. Deal this much to this target. Whoops. Play to your outs, kids. Just gotta play to your outs. How high do you reckon we need to go? I think we need to go high enough that we can feel comfortable that they'll never kill us, but also stop in time to play the Escort so that if they then attack me, I can restart the loop. Yeah, that's a good old loopsy doodles. I guess they don't really know how that combo works. So, Yeah, when you're at 53 life total, and it looks like a suspicious attack, let 5 points go through. I think you can handle it. But yeah, get out life gained, I guess. On to the next one. Okay, so we're on the draw. We've got a Forsaken Crossroads, which I think means we can Sacred Fire on too, right? If I wasn't the starting player, I can untap it, yeah. So we go turn 1, Shatterskull tapped into Crossroads on white, and then I've got Sacred Fire available. Got our combo piece. Do need a way of making it indestructible, but if we can do that, that'd be nice. Another Sacred Fire. Okay, well, if it's mono white, I guess Sacred Fires are going to be pretty good here. I mean, our hand's all removal, so, you know, we just have to slow our opponent down. They are not mono white. In fact, sadness may resolve this day. What do I do against what I'm assuming is blue-white control? Ooh. I guess I will just play my Smashing Tapped and pass. I could get the Escort out, just so I have a 1-1 Vigilance that's annoying our opponent. But to be honest, part of me wants to just... I would like to untap. Part of me wants to just like throw out a Brutal Cathar, because if they don't do anything on their turn, then I get a 3/3 First Striker. That costs them some life to deal with. We've got Jwari's Disruption. Okay. Sadness continues to resolve. Yeah, this is definitely not a good matchup. I will bolt myself to basically make the same play. This time playing around the Disruption. I've only got 1 blue mana, so here's hoping they don't have a good counter for it. Divide by 0. I wouldn't say it's a great counter, but it'll do. Grabs Environmental Sciences, that'll get them the double blue they need to hold up in a 3-mana counter spell. I now have a 20-turn threat on the board though, so watch out, opponent. You're in trouble now. Gonna have to board wipe that eventually, aren't you? Oh dear. I'm gonna hate this game so much. I mean, early game we had like Rahilda to deal with this matchup. We do also have Redain, which is honestly just counterspell bait. It's not even good counterspell bait though, is the problem. Well, I guess I will hit them for 1. I think I'll just play the Brutal Cathar for now. The problem is, like, I can tax my opponent for 4 mana value cards, but they're sweepers, they can still play them. All it does is really tap them out for a turn, and I don't really have a punishing follow-up. Revitalize, that's disturbing to see. Usually you only see Revitalize in control matchups where they don't plan on losing. But they also don't plan on winning either. It's usually the I will cycle my deck through and through, but I don't think that's a thing in this format. Actually no, it might be, right? I think Midnight Hunt gave us Devious Cover-Up back. Alright, well, I'm just going to do nothing, because I've got Sacred Fire I can ping my opponent for, and I'm going to flip a Brutal Cathar here. Really, my best chance of winning, I feel, is just making them answer very puny threats until they get to a very low life total where any card that I play is a threat. And then maybe also at the same time just getting lucky enough to get my combo going. So they got the Sunset Revelry. Yeah, I'm gonna say that's fine. Play my planes. Get in with the Brute. I could trade a 1-1 off, but I think the escort is more valuable to me. Just being in play. So our opponents bought themselves some time. I guess I will play something here. Maybe I just play another Skyclave Apparition. Does this even hit anything good? Maybe a 4-mana Teferi. That's a card people play still, isn't it? I mean, this is just board wipe bait, so maybe this is a mistake to play. It's also counterspell bait, and I'm hoping that I get the counterspell over the board wipe here, but wasn't meant to be. Maybe a divide by 0 to bounce it back. No. I think they're just going to sweep then. In that case, yeah, that says all it needs to say. Pointless attack into my board in hopes that I feel like they've got something here that could punish that attack or that block. But actually, as it turns out, it's just a 3-mana sweeper. Yep, fine. Just gonna play Redain. So, does this, this doesn't go back into exile when it dies, right? It just, it perpetually keeps the tax on it. I think that's the case. Play Cathar, just play 1 card a turn. Absolutely thrilling matchup that I should have conceded on turn 1 too. Geist Channeler. Yeah, I think this is the deck that tries to win with Approach of the Second Sun, right? Grabs it out of the artifact. Seem to remember seeing this deck once before. I've not really played any Alchemy, so I'm only going on very brief looks at the format. Seems interesting enough so far, even if this is like one of my first experiences of it. Which turn 1 I wanted to concede to, but let's not talk about that too much. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's probably time to just, like, concede, right? What am I really doing? Oh, yeah, there's Witness the Future, yeah. So this deck just doesn't lose, but also gets into a position where we can't win, and therefore we deck ourselves. That's going to be how we go through this. Or it wins with Approach of the Second Sun, because it's got that artifact, I guess. Either way, they've got the inevitability of me decking myself while also wanting to concede all the time. So I think I'm going to concede. That card was not good enough. If it was my Angel Fire Ignition, I don't know what I would be doing here. It would be 4 mana plus the Ignition. Yeah, I wouldn't have enough for then to Sacred Fire my Loner and win the game. So, yeah, I think I'm just going to concede. So, as soon as my opponent taps out, they've got too much for me to win with. So, yeah, on to the next one. Alrighty, we're on the play. We've got a hand. It defends itself long enough, I suppose, and the mana's decent, so I'll give it a shot. If I don't have a reason to use the Sacred Fire, then I could play my tap land, although it's an untapped land next turn anyway, so yeah, might as well just hold up in the Sacred Fire here. We've got the Rockfall Veil for our opponent. So, is it the Wolves deck? It's Naya with Rahilda. Alright, well that's definitely a must-kill threat. We run him in our deck for the exact same reason. Ollenbach Escort? I'll never say it right. I refuse. Ollenbach Escort. Reckless Stormseeker. Alright, so it's Naya Wolves. I shall take 3. And then consider my options. Is Rahilda best? Is Apparition kill Stormseeker best? That honestly feels like the most likely to be best. Or is it Showdown of the Skulls to try and establish a combo? Because if I played Showdown, played my Ill-Tempered Loner, and then untapped, play another spell, put a counter on it, then I've got my combo established. And I just have to find a way to deal damage to it. But I think the Stormseeker will be responsible for me dying very quickly if I don't deal with it, so I think I shall. Can always put a counter on the Apparition now. If we whiff on Showdown, unless they kill it now, at this very moment. This is like one of the tier decks, right? It's got some very powerful cards in it. Nearly everything's a rare and a mythic, just as Garfield intended. Probably not. Tenacious Pup. Into Stormseeker with a counter and Vigilance. And Trample. Pretty good. No blocks. Alright, so I think this is definitely Showdown the Skulls time. Do it before we play our land, just in case. Does it tell me if it was my turn or not? Entered exile this turn. Scry 1 may play. It really should tell you if you started the game, because I've honestly forgotten at this point. But I guess we'll play the Ollenbach Escort here. And skip-a-doodle the turn. Not a great hit. Alright, Pack Leader, Cathar. Gets rid of the Apparition, gives our opponent a 3-3. Get to draw some cards, hit me for a lot, and I'm gonna die. Pretty confident death is on the docket today. I can do a double block on the pup, I suppose, at the very least. It's not great. I mean, it's already done its duties, but it's a 1-for-1. I need one escort around, so... Alright, that could have been worse. So we get to go Cathar. Put a counter on the escort. Cathar gets rid of Cathar, which gets me a Skyclave Apparition, which kills the Stormseeker. Then I get to go Rahilda. Put a counter on Cathar, so that if they try to kill it, I have some defense there. And then we'll find out if I was on the play or not. I get a scry, okay. I feel like there's a spider crawling up my arm. And there isn't. Alright. That wasn't a bad turn. Even got Shatter Skull smashing X5 next turn, which doesn't do a great deal here. And our opponent's about to be on top decks. Oh no. That's a Harbinger's with Trample and Haste. Alright, so this gives me Lifelink and Indestructible. So let's do this, and then sack the Escort. I guess this and this as well. So they want to make sure Rahilda dies here, and I'll make sure that Cathar survives and gives me a little bit of life as well. So for 8, I've got a Skyclave Apparition. So I can play my planes. I could do X2 Shatter Skull Smashing, so I could get rid of the Pack Leader and kill the Tenacious Pup. This doesn't do any more for being flashed back. Yeah, I guess this is the plan. What removal do they have in this deck? It's probably just like fight or nothing, really, isn't it? Let's make sure that the Cathar can block nicely. Get rid of this card advantage. And I suppose because I get a counter out of it, I will also X2 the Tenacious Pup. And just make Apparition bigger, I guess. When do I decide that attacking is a good idea? I guess now, because if I block the Cathar on the illusion token and they kill it, they get a Cathar, and then their best favorite target's going to be my biggest creature, so let's just make sure it's tapped at least. And has done more than... Probably going to scry here. Please! Yes! Got to see a bottom there. It's very nice to see. Final card. It's not a land. It's a Brutal Cathar. No, come on! Why? Oh, they're just going to go for a 3/3 illusion. Okay. Wouldn't have been my guess, honestly. I'm definitely killing the Cathar here, because if I don't, it flips into a 3/3 that then costs me life total. And now I've got a cheeky little blocker. I guess I could have waited, but yeah. I think my point is quite clear. So I hit them for 5, they hit me for 6. It doesn't sparkle and shine in my world. So we'll pass. Really need a refueling card here. Pack Leader's pretty good for them. Redain. I think I'll put that on Valkmira's side. That means these 3/3s are only attacking for 2. Tovolar. Already on the other side. He's got, what's it? It's Pump Spell. Its name escapes me. Ooh, Angel Fire Ignition here. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. I think I would want to put it on Skyclave Apparition at least once. This only gives power buffs. I want to leave the other ignition for when I draw Ill-Tempered Loner. Rather than just fire him off now, but maybe that's greedy. Maybe I don't need to. Yeah, there's a world where they block with the Brute successfully. Maybe I can use it next turn, though. So I'm up to 14, got the land in hand, got the ignition backup. Opponents on top decks. They don't have good attacks. Can't believe I've forgotten the name of the land that this is Tovolar's ability represents. It's ooh, going in. Alright, well, block here, first strike here. Kessig Wolfrun. Got it. I got there. So they're gonna do a little bit of trampling over. Which is fine, because I get rid of the Tovolar anyway, so they don't get the ability of card draw for the trample. Oh, and also Valkmira. And there's Ill-Tempered Loner, so get to fire you off. Angel Fire Ignition, giving it haste. Any blocks they make deal damage. And then I can point them back at the Halpak Avenger here, since I'll be putting the ignition on it. Sweet. Yeah, just managed to stabilize there, and that's kind of what the deck's trying to do if it doesn't get its combo going, is just have some really nice mid-rangey powerful creatures, and I think going up against what I'm assuming is one of the best decks in the format. It's close to, at least. I know there's a lot of wolf nonsense going around. Yeah, what at least is close to the best deck in the format. It's nice to see that our grindy side of the deck is definitely worthy of competing. So, pretty nice. On to the next one. Oh my god, what the hell is this? Sure. Why not? Maybe Redain's good. We hope that Redain is good. I can play it on 3, and then if I find a land, I can showdown 19,000 times. So, hopefully for a good matchup. Come on, good matchup. We're here to have fun, so I hope that you're here to have fun, opponent. Are you playing a fun deck or a boring deck? Don't be boring. Please, I beg of you. Play the game, though. Mind you. Play the game, that's also quite important. Woodland Chasm. Okay. A green-black deck. An Abzan deck with a Warlock class. This is, it's a mystery to me, I'll be honest. Alright, I'll play Redain here. Don't know if it's actually that good. It's certainly not going to shut off anything our opponent does for the next few turns anyway, but... maybe it eats a removal spell, and that would also be, I guess, kind of fine. Next turn, we'll no doubt go for Showdown. I think the only thing that would stop me from doing that is top-decking Ill-Tempered Loner, I suppose. Foretells a card. Well, you know that's a Doomscar. Something of the sort. Well, we don't have to actually add to the board just yet, and we certainly won't be next turn either, good lord. That's depressing. Maybe our opponent will play something worth smashing. But it won't be something high value, considering they know that Shatter Soul Smashing now exists. I can make Redain quite large. I do want to, I think, at least go for the Homestead Courage. Okay. Well. Rip my hopes and dreams. Yeah, I mean, this was a 4-mana do-nothing, really, wasn't it? Because it's not as if I even gained a land out of it, because I got one right here. Oh, man. Yeah, Smashing's no use to me as an X0. Brutal Cathar only gets rid of creatures. Maybe I just like Showdown? Okay, that's a little better. It's a little better. I can Skyclave the Borrowed Time. They cared enough about it to... they cared enough about the Redain to remove it, so... here's hoping that's useful. And then once I've gotten rid of the Borrowed Time, I could then stick a Homestead Courage on it, which then allows the Escort to protect it. So, let's go Skyclave Apparition, counter on the Escort, counters on the Escort, Borrowed Time. I guess I was taxing the Skeletal Swarming then, which is why the Redain was so important to them to remove. Stick some counters on Redain. I'm going to stick all the counters on Redain, I think. I want to play around Meat Hut Massacre, I suppose. Play this land on white. And bottom that land. I'd say this turn wasn't half bad. Could have been so much worse. Could have been like the first Showdown again. Alright, so I've got Doomscar Protection. I've got Meat Hut Massacre Protection. Any single target removal, if that's Poison the Cup in the Foretell Zone, I've got answers to that. Would even give me a solid blocker with a Redain afterwards, if they decide they want to do something with it. Just gonna activate Warlock class, fair. I feel like we're so close to doing something good here. We just need to find the Ill-Tempered Loner. There was a Maskwood Nexus. Alright, so they've probably got a couple more creatures in here. Like Catilda. Which I guess we can Brutal Cathar, because it's got protection from vampires, not werewolves. And our opponent is just going to get in. So I take one here, they make two. Or I take one, they just make another. Yeah, whatever. I'm sure there is some math that makes this matter or not, but I don't care. Alright. Another brutal Cathar. We are going to Showdown of the Scalds. And I think, honestly, just continue chugging on the Redain, because if I get Angel Fire Ignition, then, which I did, then I'm going to shove it on Redain as well. Stick that on white. It's going to go Ignition, Redain. Redain, 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 Redain. That's a 9-10. I would trade my Ollenbach Escort here, but they get the Catilda enchantment back. They also allow my Redain to be killed by removal, which would not be ideal. So I think I would like to leave the possibility open that I kill my opponent next turn, which I've got the tools to do. Candle Trap, it has Defender. Prevent all damage that will be dealt by it. Rude. Okay. Skyclave Apparitions, still a live target to killing my opponent then. And Maskwood Nexus makes this a skeleton with Trample. That's pretty nice. Okay. Well, I'm going to block here, because I can. And I suppose that will do. Alright. 14. Can I 14 my opponent? With an ill-tempered loner. Hang on. With an ill-tempered loner. This is a Scryland, I think. I'm still going to play my loner here. Guess I'm going to put the counter on the Apparition. So if they attack into the loner, the combo goes off. Stick this on white. Bottom that. So I think they'd have to 22 me in the air, but I've got a Redain to block, which is blocking 10 points of damage here. So if I just play Ollenbach Escort, counter on the loner, Homestead Courage, counter on the loner, counter on the loner. Flash it back again, I suppose. And then I'm pretty much set up to win next turn, I think. Leave the Apparition back, just as toughness. Vigilant on the Escort is fine. So now I've got two ways of giving Indestructible and Lifelink to the loner, so they need 3 removal spells here in order to push through. And I'm pretty sure even if they swept the board here, the loner would still be alive, and then I'd just be able to ignition it for lethal. So yeah, they're probably going to regret this, unless they've got maybe like a double damage card. So I'm just going to do this. They activate Nexus. Yeah, in response, I'm going to give Lifelink and Indestructible to the loner. So these two need to be targeted removal. Ah, Deadly Dispute. Okay. Very clever. So that keeps them alive. But it doesn't stop me from just winning. I guess they are at 21. So I'd need a way of dealing direct damage to the loner, I think, to like guarantee I win. Okay. So with double Cathar, I've got 8, 9, 10, 11. So it'd be 12, 13 points. It's not quite enough. I guess 14, 15. Come on, direct damage. That is a Skyclave Apparition. So we gotta go Showdown the Skulls, right? If I hit Shatterskull Smashing, Sacred Fire, I win. If not, I probably lose. And we did it. Alright. So I play Sundown Pass. I play Angel Fire Ignition on the Ill-Tempered Loner. Give it a counter. And then I play... Well, I'll probably attack first, because that would help my cause a little bit more. If they block with that, then I kill them quicker. Alright, fair enough. So I'm going to accept the damage. And Angel Fire Ignition, the Ill-Tempered Loner. We're going to gain infinite life. Oh, and an infinitely huge loner as well. I guess. Oh no, that's only one trigger. But either way, we can't lose now, I don't think. I can gain enough life that our opponent cannot possibly put enough power into play to win the game. So they basically would deck themselves to death. So I'm just gonna mass... Oh, I can't even, like, spam click. That's spooky. But yeah, other than Catilda, they're banned essentially from attacking me on the ground, because now I can set my Ollenbach Escort, which basically puts the loner in exactly the same position, where any one of these, if they don't have the Deadly Dispute to sack in response to the block, is just going to trigger this all over again. And I've got the flashback Sacred Fire as well, so I can do it back on my turn in addition to that. So I'd say we're pretty much... this is infinite life, so... In paper, I have won. On Arena, I do also have... Oh, here we go. I don't know why Arena does this. It kind of adds extra steps eventually. Maybe it's just to check that you're actually here. Now I have to press spacebar to accept. Instead of saying, hey, I've got an infinite loop, they're like, hey, let's make that infinite loop harder. Yeah, I'm definitely going to run my clock down to 0 on this turn, because I've already done combat, so I've basically, I've maximized everything I can do on this turn. It's up to the amount of life I can gain here, and whether or not it's going to matter long term. Opponent's certainly not interested in... Minus 69, nice. They're not interested in scooping. So be it, I suppose. Alright. So yeah, I think I'll probably do a little bit of wrap up here since I've won the game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you have, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I might not even end it right now, because, you know, our opponent won't concede. Maybe there's a chance they have an answer to this loner that matters. I guess they could have What is it? The Skyclave thing with the Warlock class? I don't think they've leveled one up to 3 yet, so they'd have to do that, play the Skyclave demon that halves your life total. Who knows if that's possible. Should note as well, the more damage that the loner takes, the quicker and more effective this is. So it's not always just going to be 2 damage at a time. Like if our opponent blocked there, it would be 7 or 8 damage at a time. So, you know, our opponent's really making it difficult on themselves by playing this out. Because I'm just going to keep going forever. Because I'm but a simple loner. Only interested in myself. There we go. Uh-huh. 169, nice. There's a double 69 for us today as well, so we must be onto something. The timer hasn't even shown because it's giving us, I guess, enough things to do on our turn that Arena is sufficiently convinced that I'm doing the right thing here. It's not like the what's it called, the tree combo in Historic, where if our opponent plays a creature, we can start it again on their turn. We really need our opponent to attack him with ground creatures in order for our combo to start up again, or for us to deal direct damage. We can't really guarantee either of those. Our opponent's put us in a position where I have to do this. I can't just say that's good enough and leave it, because even 200 life in long term... Ah, here we go. Here comes the rope. Even 200 life on the long term is... minus 169, nice. Is not enough. That's 369s today. Look at that. $217. Wonder if they're still here. Maybe they went to go get a drink, make a snack. Timeout used. Yep, sure. I don't need my timeouts anymore. I really wish Arena had a quality of life feature. ... But also one that allowed me to demonstrate a loop. You know, I can set loner to same targets. mtga has that, so Arena should have it. If a piece of software from the 80s can do it right, Arena should be able to. But I think Arena's got bigger problems. Cough cough, the economy, cough cough, small dev team. They're an indie team, so we gotta let them off. Alright, 257. And last one right there. Alright, 263. We could have gotten to 269, but our opponent was here this entire time. They can deal a bit of damage to us. So here I've got block, then turn loner into the machine gun master that he is, plus the untap ignition to do the escort's job, and then sacred fire here as well. So yeah, I mean, I can restart this loop in a multitude of ways. I mean, perhaps our opponent, I'm not gonna let them just kind of get me to do this in response. In case they do have a removal spell, they can remove in response to the escort. I'm just not gonna let them do that. Instead, I'm just gonna ping them for 7. I'm not gonna hit the Catilda, because then they can suit up another creature, I guess. Doesn't really achieve much for me. Not when I can essentially just kill them here. So yeah, I think they have a removal spell. They're just trying to get me to crack in response to get greedy, and I don't really need to, because I have 236 life. With the outcome already displayed Meat hook X6. So in response, I do this to give it indestructible so the damage doesn't matter. I think that's how that works. Yep, it certainly is. Alright. Opponent oopsing. Yeah. You thought you had an out, eh? But actually, I have lethal on the backswing. Nice try, opponent. Yep, so there we just go Angel Fire Ignition, and we've got lethal just on the crap back there. It's 14 life. This puts 2 counters on it. This is putting a counter on it. Lifelink indestructible. 230 life. Seems reasonable. I mean, I reset it there. Even if I didn't kill them, and I managed to set the loner triggers off again, it's 36 turns I've got to survive. Which, honestly, in arena terms, I can't really get to a life total, I don't think, where skeletal swarming doesn't scale to the point where 230 is just pennies to our opponent. Which is an annoying shame, but there you go. Either way, though, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you've enjoyed, and if you have, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Without further ado, going to end it off here. Take care, and peace.